What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because once we have the Red Cup, we're about to spill some truth. And today I wanted to come on and talk about the mainstream media and how they are treating this Hunter Biden pardon. I want you guys to see what the mainstream media, preferably The View and all their Trump derangement, how they're viewing the pardon. And we'll talk about it. Let's go.
I kind of feel like I look at the list of folks that who pardoned during the first term. He granted 237 acts of clemency, 143 pardons, and 94 commutations, including Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, Charles Kushner, Steve Bannon, George Papadopoulos, Alba Pirro, and Lil Wayne.
And don't forget Kodak Black. And don't forget Kwame Kirkpatrick. All right. Like, they're forgetting. Oh, and don't forget Angela Stanton King. You're forgetting all the Black people that Donald Trump pardoned. Okay. Black people that were actually done wrong by the Democratic Party. Donald Trump gave them pardons. See, and this is what they like to do. They don't like to actually give the actual facts. Donald Trump pardoned white people and Black people, notable Black people that are actually in the communities, Black people that have been politicians and even entertainers. But they don't like to talk about these things because then that makes him not so racist like Joe Biden.
I grew up with an immediate family member who was in and out of jail for addiction-related offenses when I was growing up. And now, a decade later, clean, have their life together, serve their time, are still dealing with the consequences. Inability to vote at time, paying restitution, working to get your record expunged, not being able to be eligible for certain employment. Most Americans, if they face consequences for actions that they took, they're going to have to face them. And nobody powerful and politically connected is going to come sweep in and save them. And I think, this feeds the notion to a lot of this country that there's simply a different set of rules for folks in power. And when we sit here and we say a lot like, well, Donald Trump did X, Y, and Z, and how did he get elected? Because to a lot of this country, it just becomes noise. They think that if you commit crimes and somebody powerful and connected in D.C., right, left, center, Biden, Trump, you're going to be able to get away with it if you have someone on your side. And that's not how it is for everyday folks. Secondly, I take issue with lying about it. I wanted to ask him here when he came on The View, but the thought was he said so many times he wasn't going to pardon him. That to me is lying to the public. I felt bad for Karine Jean-Pierre that she repeatedly had to say that he wasn't going to pardon him. This is why people don't trust Washington. That's why they don't trust politicians. And I know a lot of us like Joe Biden, but I find it disappointing and bad.
So you see all of their faces, right? And the cameraman is so shady because while she's talking, he's, flashing their faces. But I'm glad he did because they're all like, we don't care, we don't care, we don't care. They're so Trump deranged that they can't see past that. All right. This is why people don't like politicians, whether on the right or the left, and why people don't like the government, because he repeatedly saying nobody is above the law, nobody this, nobody that. He's hired 600 new IRS tax agents to go after people and their cash apps and their Venmos for $600 or more. Okay, the little guy. But yet your son owes millions in taxes and you pardoned all of that. That is the reason why people do not like the government and the reason why you have what you have right now, the Donald Trump administration and all the people that are going to come with it. Because one, we know Donald Trump will do what the American people wants him to do. But secondly, we're tired of the ruling class of the Democrats.
Unfortunately, in this country, there are two sets of justice, right? I, too, have many family members convicted of felonies, marijuana, related to marijuana. They haven't been able to get positions in certain places. They haven't even been able to get housing in certain places. When I applied to be a federal prosecutor, there was a checkbox. If you're a felon, explain the circumstances, and you were more than likely not to get that. Now, as Whoopi said, that we have a convicted felon in the White House. Those questions should not be asked of anyone, anytime, anywhere. That is the bottom line.
That absolutely makes no sense. Why would that question not be asked? Like, Sonny is so deranged, she acts like she has no common sense. Well, she doesn't. But This is the reason why she always needs a legal note. I'm starting to think you were not a good lawyer because the things that you say don't make any sense at all. You never have a cohesive thought. And this means that Sunny is not only deranged, but if the person is on the side that she wants them to be on, if they align with her, then she's willing to overlook all those transgressions. Like she's willing to overlook all of it at this point. So I am inclined to say that Sunny is very biased. Okay. And when I say very biased, everybody has a bias, but Sunny is very biased to a point where she doesn't need to sit on TV and do anything remotely related to journalism.
Trump did escape responsibility for all his crimes. He's nominating Charles Kushner, who he pardoned, as you mentioned, as the ambassador to France. Do you know what a nice, cushy job that is that any felon would like? And, you know, so pleased with the hypocritical pearl clutching by this country. Eric Holder, I think, said it really well. No U.S. attorney would have charged this case given the underlying facts that have been investigated for 5 years. Less than, get this, 0.09% of people are indicted, prosecuted, charged, and found guilty of lying on a gun form. The only reason that Hunter Biden was gone after and charged, indicted, and found guilty was because his name wasn't Joe Smith, it was Hunter Biden. And that's the truth of
the reason why they went after Hunter Biden was because of that laptop that had pictures with children on it. You remember? The laptop that had pictures and videos of him and his brother's wife. You remember that? The laptop that had the Ukraine dealings, which, by golly, we are giving so much money to Ukraine. I wonder why. Because Ukraine knows what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden was doing.
When he was on the show, I told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter.
I remember.
You did.
I went to speak at the Biden Institute in Delaware like a month later, and we talked on the phone, and I told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter. I left him a handwritten note at his desk at the University of Delaware and told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter. And the reason I thought it was important is because I wanted him to hear from people who support him and respect him, which I do, that some of us, I'd say most of us, think it's okay for him to pardon Hunter because of what you just said, that so many of the people who committed this crime do not get prosecuted. Imagine the guilt that Joe Biden has to live with, thinking that his son, his only surviving son, is getting prosecuted because he is his son. I want to say that Charlie Kushner, the guy, Jared's dad, who was pardoned by Trump, he was convicted of witness tampering, among many other things. And Chris Christie, Republican, who prosecuted him at the time, said it was one of the most loathsome, disgusting crimes he prosecuted in more than a decade.
They're so biased that she has a paper of everything that Kushner did, but she doesn't have all the facts that Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, did. You don't have the children on the tapes. You don't have the affair with the ex-wife. You don't have the dealings in Ukraine. You don't have all the crack dealings. Like, you don't have all of these things, but you have what Kushner did. It is, I'm telling you, this is an arm of the Democratic Party. This is the DNC. All right. ABC, CBS, all of them. They are a hand of the Democratic Party. And these women, they cannot be objective at all. All right. So you guys just seen all that Trump derangement on The View. But I wanted to also throw this in here. There was an interview that a reporter did on X. All right. I saw this on the PBD podcast. And I wanted to throw this in here because she said something very important because she worked for CBS and she actually had all the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop. And she told CBS. And she saw what Hunter Biden was saying back and forth to Joe Biden and others about Black people. I want you to hear what she says. Here we go.
Cast a story about the Hunter Biden laptop after the midterm elections in 2022. We commissioned a forensic review.
And look, she has it. scumbag boys.
Got a copy of the laptop data.
All of it.
I have it here still. I went to a lot of effort to get the cleanest copy of the laptop data, the same data that was provided to the FBI, because I didn't want to have any professional journalistic risk for CBS News. I wanted this thing to be totally locked down. When we did the story, we did it after the midterms. I argued against that because it was ready before the midterms. And my training is that you should always do the story when it's ready to go. You should not be dictated by the political cycle. Once we got the laptop story on the morning news, I felt that there was so much there that we could still do. For example, in the text messages, there's unfortunately the use of the N-word, the liberal use of the N-word.
And when she says the use of the N-word, what she's saying is on the laptop, there were text messages and emails there that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were using, referring to Black people. They kept using that word. When I keep telling you guys that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden are racist, I really do mean it. His own vice president even called him a racist on the debate. On top of that, he eulogized his friend's funeral, who was a former KKK member. Like, you can't make this stuff up. At the end of the day, we all know that Joe Biden is a racist. And Hunter Biden is too, just like his father. And he actually did not only the things that he was charged for, but the things that are on that laptop are atrocious. Miss me with he was under the influence. This man is awful. He's an awful human being. The mainstream media is going to keep covering up for him. And this lady right here said she went to CBS and CBS did not want to run the story. And she has it right there. All right, so the last thing I want to get into here is a debate back and forth with CNN commentators, all right, talking about the pardon and what it actually means and what it will mean for the Democrats going forward and what it means for Americans going forward. Here we go.
You just heard Democrat Greg Stanton, Democratic Governor of Colorado, Jared Polis. There are Democrats saying they're not happy that President Biden made this decision.
Yeah, well, tough. The president went ahead and did what he thought was right for him and to protect his son. And I think there are going to be Democrats who, from a political perspective, are going to feel like they may have to say something, but who probably on the inside understand why President Biden went ahead and did this. And I got to tell you, crowing from Republicans, and I know my dear friend Scott will have plenty to say about this, but we're talking about, Donald Trump is a convicted felon who literally had pardoned his daughter's father-in-law and just made him ambassador to France. So if we're going to talk about, who's using what system in what fashion, let's put it all on the table and let's be honest about the fact that Donald Trump doesn't really have a leg to stand on in this one.
They keep saying, well, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. They cannot do anything without Donald Trump. Like, everything reverts back to Donald Trump. I thought Joe Biden had integrity. As Van Jones, Crying Jones, as he would say, yeah, the grown-ups are back. What Van Jones says. So at the end of the day, why isn't he being a grown-up? He's being a selfish child. He understood what his son did, and he pardoned him anyway. Because he doesn't care what the American people think. Frankly, he doesn't care what the Democratic Party thinks, because you guys pushed him out and you put Kamala in there, and now he's just like, F it. I assure you, that's what he thought.
So, Scott Jennings, what about that? Steve Bannon, Charles Kushner, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, and Charles Kushner not just pardoned, but also apparently about to be nominated ambassador to France.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows just about when it all started. He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace. He is a liar, and there is no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character of Joe Biden.
All right, so you guys just saw that. So look, Scott Jennings is 100% correct. I hope the Biden family really gets what's coming to them, because they understand that Hunter Biden is definitely a menace. All right. He is a menace to the American society. Between what's on that laptop, he's a menace. He's a menace to children because what's on that laptop. And he's also a menace to his own family, sleeping with his brother's wife. The man is a menace. He's an addict. And at this point, frankly, I just want the Biden family, the crime family, to just go away, because they do the American people no good at all. And that's why all those Republicans are in, because the American people are tired of the Democrats and their lies. So people like The View, those Golden Girls on The View, can keep all their nonsense. We're not interested. CNN, this is going to be CNN and their Trump derangement, but we don't care about them either. At the end of the day, Kash Patel is going to come in and clean it all up, because he scares them to death. He knows the ins and outs of the FBI, and he's going to expose it all. And I can't wait. If you guys want to see why I think Kash Patel is so dangerous to the establishment, click on the video you see right here. It's your girl, Mika. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. And I'm out. Peace.